Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Mahalo, the podcast. Welcome. My name is Mark Jagarjian, and I'm your host on this little adventure we're going to go on. Well, I hope it's an adventure. You know what I mean. I hope everyone had a safe and happy Easter for those who celebrate the egg holiday. I had a great Easter. Eggs were hidden in my studio apartment, which it's not as interesting as an egg hunt when I was a kid, when there was a backyard and all that other stuff. Eggs hunts in New York City studio apartments are a little less interesting. Where's the eggs? Oh, I don't know, maybe in the kitchen, because that's the only place to hide them. Where's the eggs? I found them all. I did find them all. And for those who watched our Taste Funny show, we found some eggs for you too. And we had some great prizes that went out. And those went out today, by the way. We had all different types of currencies. I mean, I think the funniest currency that has to be the mockery of the world is the Vietnamese dong. The Vietnamese dong? What an unbelievable currency name. There's so many double entendres. I mean, there's really one. But, like, could you imagine just owning, if you're an American, they probably don't think about it. Maybe, like, dollar means wiener in another country. But if you're in Vietnam and you're just like, oh, man, I only made 5 dongs today. How many dongs did you make? How many dongs did you have? I got a fist full of dongs. I got a fist full of ding dongs. You got a fist full of dongs. Or maybe you're a big pop singer and you have a number one hit. Like, this is the number one hit. I got a fist full of dongs. Gimme, gimme, gimme them dong dongs. Gimme, gimme, gimme them ding dongs. Yeah, just out here, I just released my new album. Just out here trying to make them dong, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, just trying to get after it, make that dong. I mean, how could you take yourself seriously? Every day you go out into the world, you're trying to make an honest living, and then you come home and you have to count your dongs. I gotta make that dong dong. Trying to put my kids through college, making that dong, baby. Trying to earn that dong. And then if you work in, maybe you work in the sex trade, you're trading dong for dong, really. If you work in what do they call that? The sex industry. It's just dong v dong versus dong. It's really just a trade at that point. It's dong for dong. And their currency is valued so low that like 100,000 dongs is like $1.50. So if you're out there, you could be making 1,000,000 dongs a day, and still you'd be struggling to get like a Big Mac meal in the United States. Trying to get that ding dong. I got that dong for dong dong. I have other currencies. I have Iraqi dinars, which are even less valuable than Vietnamese ding dongs, and I'm looking to sell them. I have 7 million Iraqi dinars, which is worth about 70 cents. Not really, but close. I was involved when I was getting out of college. I thought it'd be a great investment to invest in Iraqi dinars. And the idea on the street, if you did some Googling, was that one day the Iraqi government was going to revalue their currency to be a 1-for-1 to the US dollar. They were going to revalue it so it's 1 dinar to 1 US dollar, and everyone who held dinars would be instant millionaires. And in my 21-year-old logic, I was like, that's going to happen soon. I really thought that was going to happen. And this is now 12, 13 years later. It's lost 20% of value. paper towels per square foot are worth more than Iraqi dinars. And the point of the logic that never really occurred to me when I was in college was that if this was the case, then that would mean that every single man, woman, and child in Iraq would be instant multimillionaires if they did it this way. There's no way they're going to revalue the currency so that if you're holding a $25,000 Iraqi dinar note, which is similar to your $100,000 dong, it sounds like that sounds like a game show that would play during Monday through Friday, hosted by Wayne Brady. $100,000 dong. Maybe it would be a show that I would host. Hi, I'm Jiggy, and welcome to $100,000 dong. But that doesn't make any sense. If they revalued the currency, they would have to buy back all the existing currency, and then you'd get the equivalent of that in the new currency. You're just not going to be able to just get rich off of the current. Listen, I made a mistake. That's what I'm trying to say. I made a mistake. I screwed up. But anyway, some people got some dong prizes that went out in the mail today. So it was a successful show. I did want to discuss today some of my thoughts on being starstruck. Have you ever been starstruck? I worked at a luxury hotel, so I saw a lot of celebrities when I was working there, and not a lot of people gave me that starstruck feeling, like I can't even talk. It only happened a few times, and I bet it's with a celebrity that you would have never imagined. And I saw heads of state, movie stars, musicians, you name them. I've maybe met them. That's not true, but I met a lot of people. And one of the only celebrities that truly made me starstruck, where I felt like I couldn't even talk, was Kate Beckinsale. Oh, Kate Beckinsale is an angel. Out of all the women on this planet, I believe Kate Beckinsale is from another planet. I don't know what it was about Kate Beckinsale, but she smelled the way she looks in the least creepy way possible. I'm telling you, I wasn't sniffing her from a distance. I had to check her into the hotel, and she had this aura. It was almost, when you watch The Wizard of Oz, and the good witch comes down in that bubble, and at the beginning of the movie, that's how Kate Beckinsale came into the hotel. She literally came from a bubble, and it burst, and then I checked her into her room. But she smelled so good, and her fashion and her skin was it looked so soft, and she just looked, it didn't look like a real person. It's not like real people should look like this. I was in shock. I couldn't even check her in. I was couldn't even catch my words. I was so starstruck. And Kate Beckinsale she's not even a top 50 celeb. She's a top 100 celeb. But beauty-wise, I don't think that I've ever been taken aback by someone as much as Kate Beckinsale. She's got something going on. That Kate Beckinsale. Now, my most fangirly moment I've ever had in my entire life, though, was in 2001. Jump into your DeLoreans, folks. 2001. My birthday's in August 25th. For everyone out there listening. And for my, what birthday would that have been? 14th birthday, I believe. 14th birthday, 2001. My dad gave me an envelope. And I was living in Florida at the time, going to high school. Was I? No. I was in Florida at the time, but I wasn't in high school in Florida at that time. I was down in Florida for the summer. My dad hands me an envelope for my birthday, end of August. And I open up the envelope, and I was ecstatic. My dad had given me 2 tickets for me and him to go to the Michael Jackson 30th anniversary concert spectacular at Madison Square Garden in New York City. I'd never been to New York City before. but I was a huge Michael Jackson fan. And the show was September 9th, 2001. So I started listening to Michael Jackson when it was not cool. Like as a kid and a middle schooler listening to Michael Jackson in the late 90s, early 2000s, not the coolest thing you could listen to. I discovered him on my own. I wasn't Michael Jackson pushed. No one pushed me to listen to them. I felt like I discovered Michael Jackson for myself. That's how little he was talked about in my circles. I discovered Michael Jackson from the VH1 top 100 music videos of all time. And when Thriller was number one, I'm like, this kid's got something. I remember thinking, I was a kid, but I was thinking, this guy, no one's talking about this guy. Who is this Michael Jackson? I really thought that. I thought that I had come across something that the world did not know. And then I started listening to, I bought the Thriller CD. I didn't buy it. My mom bought it. And I was like, there is hits on hits on hits on this. This is like 6th grade. 7th grade comes. I start exploring other albums. I get the Bad album, the Dangerous album, History album, Off the Wall. And I would listen to it in a CD player and I would dance in my room. So I'd put the headphones on and then I would hold my CD player and I'd put the track on and I'd lock the door and I'd dance in my room. I just was obsessed. I loved Michael Jackson. And subtly, how do you say that word? Subtly, I would try to like introduce my friends to Michael Jackson too, unsuccessfully. So by the time 2001 comes around, I've been listening to MJ for a few years now, but I'm a full-blown fan. Unapologetic. I know the moves. I've been practicing for years in my room. I know all the songs. And the big thing that was left for me to do was to go to a Michael Jackson concert. A consort. And he wasn't touring. The last tour that he did in the United States was the Bad tour from the late 80s. He had the Dangerous tour that never made it to the U.S. and the History tour, which was only in Europa. So there was no Michael Jackson concerts during my lifetime for me to see. He was going to New York for a 30th anniversary concert with pop stars from around the world. NSYNC was going to be there. Britney Spears was going to be there. Destiny's Child was going to be there. Luther Vandross was going to be there. Mark Anthony was going to be there. Usher was going to be there. Marlon Brando was going to be there. Liza Minnelli was going to be there. I can go on and on and on. So my dad gets me these 2 tickets, and I'm friggin' ecstatic about it. The show was on a Friday, and I know that because my dad had to pull me out of school early for us to catch a flight from Boston to New York City. He picks me up late. We're late, and we have to go into Logan Airport in Boston. Historically, not the easiest traffic to traverse is Boston traffic, and this is Big Dig time. And for those who know about the Big Dig, they were digging bigly. A lot of big digs. Lots of traffic. Horrible. So we hit Big Dig traffic, and we're late to the airport, and we miss our flight. And we're running through the airport. We are home aloneing it through the airport. We missed the flight. Luckily, Delta has a Delta shuttle flight that's maybe 30, 40 minutes later that's going to get us in right at showtime. Like, barely going to make it. We land at LaGuardia. We take a taxi straight to Madison Square Garden with our luggage. We go into Madison Square Garden with all of our crap. And the show is going to be, we're sitting there. We made it. We made it right in time. And then the show is like 2 hours late. It's supposed to start at 8 p.m. It doesn't start, I would have to look up officially what it started at. But I want to say it was like 10. It was like super late. And the first person that comes out after this long delay, people come in from all around the world for this concert, literally, was Marlon Brando. And to me, that meant absolutely nothing. So Marlon Brando comes out, and he's an old man at this point, and he's like reading something about Michael Jackson. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but it was this long-winded thing with Marlon Brando, and I'm like, get this old meatball off the stage. He's a big man. I knew nothing of The Godfather and all his successes. I just knew that Marlon was holding up the dang show. And the way that this show went down is that first they did the tribute part of the concert. So people like NSYNC, or no, NSYNC went later, but everyone came out and did renditions of Michael Jackson or Jackson songs. So like Destiny's Child came out and sang a Michael Jackson song, etc., etc., etc. That was like an hour and a half. Then there's a break. So it's like late at this point. I got my luggage everywhere. Finally, the Jacksons come out and they emerge from the stage. And I just remember feeling numb. Like I was dunked in a Novocaine tank. I was numb with excitement. The music seemed louder than I've ever heard before. I've been to concerts before, but nothing that it really interests me. And for some reason, the music just seemed louder. The people seemed more into it. Uh, Everything was just hitting on all cylinders. And I'd never been to a concert that I really wanted to go to. To that point in my life, I just would go to a concert because, my dad would be like, we're going to go to Bonnie Raitt or some shit like that. But nothing that I cared about. Or, I'd go to a concert at my school for like a recorder recital. This was my first concert I wanted to be at. The Jacksons come out. I am numb. They're on stage for 30, 45 minutes. I don't know what happened. I like blacked out. Then, after that, another break. And then Michael Jackson comes out solo. And my dad told me later, I literally didn't clap. I didn't scream. I didn't dance in the halls, or the seating hallways, whatever they're called, steps. I literally stood straight onto the stage and just stared at the stage. I just stared like this. I was just in awe of what I was seeing. And to this day, I don't think I've ever been so starstruck. I kept on saying, I can't believe I'm in the same building as Michael Jackson. I cannot believe I'm in the same building as Michael Jackson. I can't believe that Michael Jackson is moonwalking in my presence. It was an unbelievable feeling. And we flew home the next day, back to Boston, and 24 hours later, I believe, whatever day that was, Monday or Tuesday, was September 11th. And it was like feeling all of those feelings of being in New York at Madison Square Garden, watching that show. And that numbness I felt, I was feeling it all again. It was surreal. 48 hours before, I was in New York City. I was in Times Square. We went down to the World Trade Center. I still remember seeing the World Trade Center when we were driving to LaGuardia. So it was very, very, obviously horrific. And it was just, what a crazy week for the world. But also, I feel like I had this unique experience with New York that week. It was the first time I ever experienced New York. And to think, the fact that we even were able to go into Madison Square Garden with like luggage and like just run through the security, like there was relatively speaking, like no security really at the airport. You just kind of like buzzed through. Those days were over forever. So, that 48-hour period in my life, I saw someone, probably the most memorable concert experience I ever had in my life, and maybe the most memorable world event that I ever experienced in my life. Clearly this COVID, everything that's going on with that right now, is a huge event. But what happened with 9/11 was like a day, it was a day. And we didn't really have that with COVID. It was kind of a longer period. So I don't know. I was just thinking back of times in my life that like just left me speechless, and that concert mixed in with the fact of I was like in New York, and September 11th was just a few days later. Really kind of shook me, and I just wanted to share that first real moment of I don't know. I feel like I became kind of sort of an adult in that week. It kind of showed the ebbs and flows of life, sort of. That sometimes things are great and sometimes they're not, and sometimes they can happen really close to each other in a very similar place. So, anyway, that's what I wanted to share for this week. I thank you for listening. If you're listening to the podcast, I hope you can join us on YouTube so you can watch the video, and vice versa if you want to listen to the podcast. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're just starting, and your subscription really helps us out a lot. So, until next time, mahalo and deuces.